What is happening YouTube and all you Dolphins fans out there? Today we're going to be talking free agency again. In my last video I talked running backs, free agent running backs that I thought would be great for the Dolphins offense, and who I thought would be perfect for Chan Gailey's new offense and would help turn that side of the ball into a balanced machine. In today's video I want to talk edge rushers, defensive ends and rushing outside linebackers. Guys who I believe would be perfect for this multiple hybrid scheme that Coach Flores has brought over from New England. Any given Sunday, you can see guys with their hand in the dirt or rushing from a stand-up start. You just never really know where the guys are going to be coming from. This hybrid defensive scheme just really doesn't discriminate when it comes to rushes, and that's perfect as the Dolphins look to majorly upgrade the edge position in free agency and the draft. That was a major weakness this past season. But today's video is all about free agency. So let's get to my list of guys that would immediately upgrade the position and upgrade a defense that is craving elite or even above average talent, especially on the edge. We're going to start here with the big fish in free agency, and that's Jadeveon Clowney, obviously. Last offseason, when the trade out of Houston was swirling around, Clowney came to Miami and met with Coach Flo and the Dolphins brass, and he obviously left the team facility not at all warming up to the thought of playing for a team that's rebuilding. Now, a year later, the feeling around the team is much different, and everybody knows that Coach Flores is the real deal and just knows how to get the most out of his players and knows, how to put them in the best position to, play at their best. So who knows how Clowney feels about the team this time around. If Clowney was to sign with the Dolphins this time around, we'd be getting an elite freak of a D-end. Clowney really is a guy that can just do it all from the defensive end position. He can rush with power, he rushes with speed, he's got elite length, elite get-off, and just elite strength. Just pretty much any kind of trait you can think of that you'd want from a defensive end, Jadeveon Clowney has. His over the years, his production hasn't been great. The most sacks he's had in the season is 9.5. This past season with Seattle, he only had 3 sacks, starting in 11 games, 13 games overall. This past season, he did have a career high 4 forced fumbles, but other than that, production really just doesn't jump off the page. But a guy like Clowney, he's never had double-digit sacks in a season, but he's a guy that just really affects the game in many other areas. In the run game, he's incredibly dominant. He gets pressures consistently, quarterback hits, he gets any other stat you can think of besides actual sacks, and he's a guy that rushes from the inside as well as he does from the edge, and just a player like Clowney would just be perfect in this defense. I am worried about his durability. He isn't a guy who's been, overly healthy player. He did have a lot of nagging injuries this past season for Seattle, so who knows if that's going to carry on to his next team. But yeah, just a guy like Clowney with these elite traits and just an overall force of a football player. His game is just tailor-made for this Coach Flores multiple hybrid scheme. Okay, so moving on to my next player here on the list is Yannick Ngai. He's played the last 4 seasons for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and it really is no secret that he has not enjoyed his time in Jacksonville at all. The only season I could have seen him having a good time was 2017 when he had 12 sacks. But as you can see from his stats here, he's been a consistent pass rusher that hasn't dropped under 8 sacks in a season. But what you get with Ngakoue is just a freak of a speed rusher. He just comes off the ball like no other. His get-off is just, one of the best in the league, if not the best. And for a guy his size, he's only 6'2", 240 pounds, 245 pounds, something like that. 240, I think. But he can really just bring the power off the edge and just get up under a tackle's pads consistently and win the rep. But if you guys have watched Jacksonville the last 4 seasons, you know what kind of an edge rusher he is. And just a guy like him on the Dolphins defense would be just absolutely perfect, just playing that stand-up. He can stand up. I'll put his hand in the dirt, so that is perfect for this scheme. And he'll just bring the terror off the edge. And another plus, he's an incredibly young guy. He's 24 at the moment. I think He'll be turning 25 in March, I think. But yeah, he's a young guy, and he's got plenty of prime years left, so we won't have to worry about him running out of gas, 2 or 3 years into his contract. Alrighty, so next on my list here is Dante Fowler Jr., who also started his career in Jacksonville and was later traded to the Rams in 2018. This past 2019 season, he had 11.5 sacks, so he was incredibly productive in that Rams defense that was just really sneaky good this season. I really thought, they weren't as dominant as last season, but especially after Jalen Ramsey came over, they really did turn into a top defense. Dante Fowler, similar to Yannick Ngai, he's a dominant pass rusher that can do it in a number of ways. He's got tremendous get-off, tremendous speed, just getting to the quarterback, and he's a bit of a bigger guy than Ngai. I think he's about 255 or something like that. But he was picked 3rd overall in 2015, so he was an incredibly high pick. But you can just see watching him the last couple of years with the Rams, and you could see it in spurts with the Jaguars. Similar to Yannick, he really couldn't wait to get out of there. But if we were to sign him, he'd be just a tremendous addition for this defense. He's a guy that can rush with his hand in the dirt or standing up as a outside linebacker. But he's just an elite talent, and like Ngai, he's young. He's 25 years old. Not sure when he's turning 26, but just having a dominant pass rusher like Dante Fowler would be tremendous for this defense. The next player on my list here is Shaquille Barrett. He played the last season with the Buccaneers. He had an unbelievable season this past season. 19.5 sacks, 58 tackles, 6 forced fumbles, and he had 45 solo tackles. He was just all over the place this past season and just really didn't see it coming. And he really finally just got his chance this past season with the Buccaneers. As you can see here, he had the most snaps of his career, 917 snaps, and just, being on the field consistently just helped him to, nearly have 20 sacks this past season. He's going to get a tremendous contract in free agency this season. And if the Dolphins want to sign him he's already 27 years old, so he's going to be, a bit older coming into his second contract. But the Dolphins want to sign him on a 2-year deal. I would absolutely love him coming off the edge. Just watching him this season, he's just a freak of a pass rusher that just looked like he couldn't be stopped. He probably was this guy all along, but he really just didn't get the chance in Denver, being behind guys like, Von Miller and Derek Wolfe, and especially after they drafted Bradley Chubb last season. Shaquille Barrett moved on and just had the best season of his career, and he's going to get a chunk of change in free agency, and the Dolphins would be wise to at least get an interview with him. The next edge rusher on my list here that the Dolphins should be taking a look at is Matt Judon. Played the last 4 seasons with the Ravens, so he's been in great defenses the last 4 seasons. He's played, obviously, predominantly as an outside linebacker with the Ravens running a 3-4. This past season, he had 9.5 sacks and just really had a dominant season after Terrell Suggs left the Ravens for the Cardinals. They obviously want to go in a different direction there. But he would be a perfect addition to this defense. He'd just slide right in and he'd be perfect. He's incredibly technically sound. He knows how to play the run. He knows how to rush the passer. And I really don't think he'd have a problem picking up this incredibly complex scheme that Coach Flores has brought over from the Patriots. The next player on the list here is Emanuel Akbar. Originally drafted by the Browns in 2016 in the second round. He played his first 3 years with the Browns and his last year with Kansas City. He only played in 10 games this last season, starting 4. I'm presuming he was injured. I'm pretty sure I think he got injured, but we didn't see him in the Super Bowl. But in 10 games, he did have 5.5 sacks, but he's an incredibly just big defensive end. He's 6'4", 275 pounds. And I just think that a guy of his stature is a player that the Dolphins would definitely want to be looking at. And, getting drafted in the second round, he's obviously got talent. And who knows, maybe coming over to the Dolphins with this coaching staff, Coach Flores, there's a slight chance that the guys down here in Miami might be able to get the best out of Akbar coming into his 5th season in the league. Alrighty, the next guy on my list here, the next edge rusher is Marcus Golden. Played the first 4 years with Arizona. This last year with the Giants, he had 10 sacks in 2019. In 2016 with the Cardinals, he had 12 and a half sacks. He really came onto the scene that year with the Cardinals. I remember watching the Cardinals that year, and Golden just looked like an amazing pass rushing tandem with Chandler Jones. I think he had the best season of his career this last year. With the Giants, I'm pretty sure he had over 20 quarterback hits, and he was just really consistently getting pressure in that Giants defense. It'd be wise for the Dolphins to have a look at him. I think that he's hungry for more. He's hungry to prove that he's an elite pass rusher. He's definitely showed that 2 years in his career, and I just think a pass rusher like Golden would be a terrific addition for this defense, and would only help to reshape the defense. All right, the next player here is Bud Dupree. He really had his best season this last year with the Steelers. I really think the emergence of TJ Watt just really helped him to have a great season. He had 11 and a half sacks, but prior to that, he really was kind of a disappointment. I think the Steelers were hoping that he'd be what TJ Watt has been in his first 3 years, but obviously on his contract year, he just really balled out and had a pretty dominant season that's going to help him in free agency. Honestly, not having a great year prior to this year, it does worry me a little. And I think he's going to command, too rich a contract for what he's worth. But he's definitely worth a look, and who knows, the Dolphins might be able to work out something that's affordable for the team and works both ways. My next free agent edge rusher on the list here is Vic Beasley. He's played the last 5 seasons with the Atlanta Falcons. In his second season, he had 15 and a half sacks, but he really hasn't been able to duplicate that kind of production after that. As you can see, he had 5 sacks in 2017, 5 in 2018. He had 8 this last season, but he just really hasn't been able to be the dominant, just athletic pass rusher that he was in 2016, the year Atlanta went to the Super Bowl against the Patriots. But really, after that year, he's been a huge disappointment, especially being picked 8th overall in 2015. I really thought that after his second year in the league, he was going to be a dominant pass rusher and a guy that has just double-digit sacks every season. I think we all thought that, especially after you have 15 and a half sacks in 1 year. The expectation after that is just to dominate the league and just be an absolute force off the edge. I'm really surprised that the Falcons picked up his 5th-year option. I really thought they were going to cut him after his 4th season. Obviously, they gave him another chance, and picking up 8 sacks, he's going to get a modest contract in free agency. Someone's going to pay him, and who knows what the Dolphins are going to see in him. Who knows if they're going to give him a chance and bring him into this defense, and hopefully get that same kind of production that the Falcons got out of him in 2016. The next player on my list here is Jordan Jenkins. He's played all 4 seasons in his career with the Jets. Unlike most of the guys on the list here, he really just doesn't wow you as a pass rusher. He's a guy that just really wins with effort, technique, and fundamentals, but I just really love his effort out there. He just really looks like he plays the game the right way, and he's got those heavy hands that the Dolphins love. He's tremendous on the edge, just the way he holds the point of attack. He does a great job setting the edge and just shutting down the run game. And he'd just be perfect for this defense. He's the kind of guy that Flores likes to have around. He's a high effort guy that knows how to play the game the right way. And he just fit in perfectly as a 3-4 outside linebacker. And honestly, I just really think it wouldn't cost much at all to bring him in. We could probably pay him $4 or $5 million a season, and he'd just slide in perfectly to this defense and bring just a physical presence that knows how to get the job done. Alrighty, guys, that's it for my list of free agent edge rushers that the Dolphins should be looking at. In years past, I'd honestly only be looking at 4-3 defensive ends to slide into this defense, but with this new defensive scheme, it just opens up the possibilities for the kind of guys that we can bring in, and honestly, it makes it easier to look at the draft as well, because there just really is no limit to the players that we can bring in. And as Flores has said, All he wants are good football players that can fit into the scheme and do what they're told, while at the same time playing smart, tough, physical football that can just win games consistently. So yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. If you enjoyed the content, the video is a bit longer than I wanted, but with this hybrid scheme that we're running now, the players to look at are endless, and yeah, it's an incredibly exciting time as a football fan. Alrighty guys, that's it for this one. Don't forget, fins up, baby. The future is incredibly bright. Cheers, folks.